What it do, YouTube? It's Coffee. I'm back at it, man, and we got to get into this update with the Diddy case, man. As this case is making its way through the federal court system, Diddy's sitting there locked down, no bail. Witness tampering is what the Fed said, that this individual is, if he touches down, witnesses ain't safe, and it's a must in the interest of justice that he stays locked down behind bars. Now, there's all kinds of ish going on that we have to break down and really go over here. As always, man, there's headlines, there's clickbait headlines, there's all kinds of flunkery going down in the news these days. And I don't just mean pertaining to this case, I just mean all over the place in regards to everything. That's why it's a must we bust it all down and discuss it on this channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the buttons, but get in the comments, man. Diddy's legal team is firing back, right? And we gotta go over all that, as well as the power of news headlines, right? And another case that is some rich individuals accused of some sick, disturbing, disgusting ish by the feds that involves trafficking, that I seen someone commenting saying, yo, why isn't no one talking about this? So we're gonna talk about that as well. Let's get to it.
Diddy has filed new documents in the federal indictment against him, and his defense here is basically telling the feds, you don't have a case because, as far as Cassie is concerned, victim one, as the feds describe her. And by the way, the only victim listed in the whole federal complaint so far, all they've put forward to the feds is Cassie. And he says Cassie, she was in on it. This was completely consensual. He said that before, but now he's saying she was well aware that things were being recorded. There were no secret cameras or no hidden cameras. And she was completely party to this as much as I was.
Not only aware of it, what he says in these documents is that victim one, Cassie, kept these videos on her own device for years and then produced them to the government as they were building their case, and says, if you actually watch these, there's 9 videos, apparently 6 encounters. They say she not only consented, but appears to thoroughly enjoy herself. She is evidently happy, dominant, and completely in control. So they're saying, look, this is a consensual relationship. These were not orgies. These were not with minors. This is a consensual relationship between Diddy and Cassie at the time, and some couples do record their encounters.
So there are 2 things going on here. One, the characterization of victim one, that calling her a victim, what he's trying to do is blow that up and say she's not a victim, she's a participant. Right. That's number one. But the second thing that I think is really interesting is that one of the allegations we know that the feds are making is that there were sex workers that were flown from one state to another to engage in these freak-offs, and that the flying of a sex worker and paying them would constitute prostitution, which is illegal under federal law, the Mann Act. You can't fly someone across state lines, transport them across state lines for purpose of prostitution. Here's the complication. The law doesn't say anything about, but you have to show coercion or force. But the intention behind the law was essentially forced slavery. That's why this thing passed. Right. And that the intention was to combat that. Yeah. Was to combat force, coercion, or duress. We know, because we've done a documentary, we've done 3 documentaries actually on this, the downfall of Diddy. We interviewed his lawyer in the second one, Mark Agnifilo, and he told me squarely that he is arguing that force and coercion is an element of this, and he is going to fight it. All right, and this is what they're doing with this new filing, right, is to say they're addressing that force and coercion part of it and taking that off the table. That's right. As far as they're concerned. So. And this document that was just filed, to me, is the closest evidence we have of the defense that he's going to mount. Mm-hmm. Now, when you think about it, if Cassie is the star witness, and everything points to the fact that she's going to be, this is not a slam dunk. But she's going to testify, right, that she was forced and that she was afraid of him And so, yes, she went along with it because she was afraid of what the consequences. Right, but then the jury's going to watch the tape, and I'm not saying that she wasn't afraid. Right. I'm saying that it may be that watching the tape and listening to her on the stand, but then this tape, and then her response is going to be, look what happened, right? And then they're going to play this video. But the feds are saying this tape is not evidence of the freak-off, even though it was during a freak-off.
Yeah,
correct.
So Harvey, to your point, even if it's not specifically an element they need to convict Diddy, this certainly changes the case entirely if what you're looking at with these freak-off videos, which people think are orgies and other celebrities and prostitutes, are just consensual sexual activity between a couple. It's going to change the jury's impression of what they're really litigating here, and maybe look like prosecutorial overreach.
Derek, is he saying that in the 9 encounters that it was just himself and Cassie, or is he acknowledging that there were third parties involved?
They're being very careful with their words. What they say is the videos do not depict sex parties. What you take of that, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then it says there are no secret cameras, no orgies, no other celebrities involved, no underground tunnels, no minors, and not so much as a hint of coercion or violence. Take that for what it means. There are other ways of saying there are other people who are not celebrities. I don't know.
I can answer it. Because when I interviewed Mark Agnifilo, and when we talked about freak-offs, I asked him about these, after parties, with 100 people, and he said we're talking about three ways. Right. And so, and we've seen evidence of that there have been just 3 ways. So they are careful not to exclude that option, that it can be a 3-way, but a 3-way is enough. If it's a sex worker that they paid, that they cross state lines. Now, then the issue becomes, is Mark Agnifilo right that you can use force, coercion, or duress as an element of the Mann Act, even though it doesn't explicitly say it? Well, that's where the jury comes in, right? I guess the only point I'm making is, everybody's kind of made their mind up on this yet. Legally, this is an interesting case because remember, she is the only victim listed in this indictment.
All right, man. So you guys hear that all, okay? It's wild. They're saying, listen, these 9 videos, Cassie kept them on her device. And that is like proof that she was really just enjoying all of this. And I just got to say, period, in regards to any case, right, in a situation like this. Again, we're not just talking about Diddy, although we are talking about the Diddy case, but just in general, to say that a woman kept some ish like this is proof that nothing went down wrong. I personally find that to be untrue. You know what I mean? She could have been being, and I'm not saying that's exactly what it is. I want to know what y'all think about all this, right? But she could have been being coerced into things. Listen, that beat down tape, because we have to look at this from the angles of what is being said, the evidence, what just everyone thinks in general, what you think about this case, and then what you think about how it's going to go down when it comes to court. You feel me? But that beat down tape, which is still so wild to me, the fact that remained under wraps all that time. It felt like, damn, what did they have? The whole floor locked down, that Diddy just owned a whole floor, like no one came out, no one tried to stop anything. How did so many people keep their mouths shut? How much money was exchanged to keep that under wraps? You know what I mean? But the fact of the legal team to say that, to me, I don't think that's gonna play out well in court, right? Because she could have been saving this stuff on the device to, like, one day come forth with it when she got the chance. You feel what I'm saying? Something else, the fact to them to just say what she's enjoying. It's rather disturbing, and it's dangerous language and just flucked up. And to me, I feel like many will look at that and say, yo, what type of ish does that have to say what a female likes, right? I mean, hell, in a healthy relationship where it's just a couple, females are known to fake ish. And listen, ask any female. I ain't saying they fake it all the time, but I'm saying they most definitely faked it. Men as well with females, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the defense that they're trying to put out here, to me, is a bit preposterous, right? Because it's like, you're trying to say how she feels. What's put on that tape she could be coerced into it. Like, I don't know. I just don't think that these are good legal arguments. And it's wild to me that we're seeing media outlets put out these kind of headlines, which is something that I wanted to get to another clip in regards to here from Shabazz, the OG.
Yes, so what's popping? A lot of people have probably heard me say 3 to 30 seconds can change your life from 3 to 30 years. And that whole concept is about just critically thinking, removing emotion, removing impulse, and just thinking. 3 to 30 seconds just to give yourself a chance to breathe and think, not be reactive or impulsive, right? So I'm looking at a lot of the comments on this headline, on this latest headline about Puff. And I see the Billboard headline versus the other headlines. Now, the Billboard headline is extremely misleading. And in my opinion, is actually not cool, because the way that headline is framed, it would make it appear that one of the victims has been said to be enjoying and participating in what was considered to be consensual sex, and not an act of violation, right? And that's just not cool to write that headline that way, because that would be insensitive towards a victim, and it'll make Puff really look like shit. Instead, write the headline out for what it really is and why it's being said. Like the other headline reads, it read in detail. When you're vague, you cause people to react in a certain way. And this is why I said people just take those 3 to 30 seconds, step back and pay attention to how media and headlines manipulates your thinking, your feelings, and your emotions. Because at the end of the day, the truth is going to come out on both sides, all sides, for whoever's involved. The truth is not going to be pinned down for long. The truth is the strongest thing moving, because at some point in time, the truth always prevails. The truth is undefeated. One way, some shape, some form, some fashion. What I'm explaining to people to do, I don't care who believes what. I don't care who supports what. Everybody has their rights to what they believe and support about this situation. My thing for us as black culture, hip hop culture, black people, and society as a whole, my thing is to continue to help people to be conditioned to think better. That's what my thing is about. Think. Don't be manipulated and duped by these headlines, because it feeds the frenzy of what you want to believe. So many people want to believe that Puff is guilty, that nothing else can be true. Don't be one of those people. Don't be a person who believes that you want what he's been accused of to be true so bad that nothing else can be true. It can be true that Cassie lied. It can be true that some of these other people are lying. It can be true that, like some people are saying, Cassie knew what she was like. All of these things can be true. And a lot of you know that they can be true, but instead of thinking, you're feeling and being impulsive and reacting. And again, my thing for us as a whole, think what you want to think, support who you want to support, but don't want something to be true so bad that you don't think something else can be true as well. Think for yourself and take 3 to 30 seconds to do it. It don't take long.
All right, so you hear him talking about critical thinking, and that's, again, everyone, join the discussion, the debate. Let's talk about this all. Hit the comment section. That's what it's all about over here on J Coffee Talk, is to hear from the people. Like, that's the basis of all this, that we just don't go by a headline and go, oh, that's actual factual. No, we discuss it. You know what I'm saying? We try to put critical thinking skills behind all this. And again, we're looking at this from the angles of how it's going to play out in court, what everyone's opinion is, in what these different legal arguments that are being discussed are. And something else that they were saying, is like, they're trying to put it out there like, yo, all this stuff about hidden cameras and whatnot, none of these were hidden cameras. Well, in regards to these videos, I don't know if that is, again, actual factual, but this whole thing too, the language that they're trying to use to make it seem like it was just, Diddy and Cassie all 100% consensual, but you hear the people who spoke with his legal team saying, no, no, no. There definitely is videos where there is at least one other person in there, right? Treyway, shoddy voice, right? At least a three-way. And I don't know if you watch all this, you know, and then you see where they take questions and callers and stuff like that. There was a female calling in that was saying, yo, this to me seems like just a classic case of a man who is trying to justify his abuse of power and him violating a woman by more or less saying she wants it. You know, that when you simplify things and get down to the bare bones basics, that is more or less what Diddy's legal team is doing. And I really wonder, with all these headlines, it's so wild, right? Because we know payola, which I use that term loosely, as we know there's other ish going down in the hip hop world right now with lawsuits, where one was just withdrawn, where a rapper took a major L and tried to get lawyers to take it to court and sue people, and now he's backtracking and looking goofier than ever. Payola in that sense is, you know, record companies, which is something that's been illegal since the 60s, right? Paying for placement and spins and stuff like that. And nowadays with all this AI media and media putting out these headlines, which are just clickbaited on another level, like that's not a new thing, the media pushing narratives and stuff like that, but it's just pretty bonkers to me, the like media outlets, a lot of them, the type of ethics that they're practicing with some of the headlines that they're putting out, misquoting people, using quotes when there's no quotes, and just putting out like all these allegations. And I don't know, like we've seen a lot of damaging Diddy headlines, but now it seems like we're seeing a lot of headlines that are trying to attack the accuser, the victim. And I really wonder if Diddy, you know, dug in that big bag that he has and dispersed some money out, or hired people to try to just pump articles out there into the blogosphere to try to dirty up the accuser. You know what I mean? Then there's that whole argument too about the ex-workers, the trafficking being flown, and you know, force or coercion isn't something that even has to be proven, because by federal law, prostitution is illegal. And, you know, Diddy's team plans to try to fight that. And I don't know if that's really going to work, man. You know, my prediction, I think, is that Diddy has no wins against the federal government in this case, despite all these new narratives that are kind of shifting towards his way, in his favor. I still think when you bust it down, it's just smoke and mirrors. And when it goes to court, you know, the prosecutors and the way it all plays out, I don't think he stands a chance. I wonder if he'll end up pleading out. I want to know what y'all think about it. Everyone, please tap in and comment. But you see the different comments, people reacting to all this, the stuff that Shabazz was saying about the power of headlines and stuff like that. And someone was saying, why is no one talking about Abercrombie and Fitch case?
The former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking and interstate prostitution charges in the New York federal court on Friday. Mike Jeffries, along with his partner and another man, are facing charges tied to 15 alleged victims from 2008 to 2015. The indictment alleges Jeffries promised modeling and other job opportunities to the mostly male victims, leading them to believe their careers would be harmed if they did not comply at the, quote, sex events organized by the trio. Jeffries remains free on a $10 million bond, but is being monitored by GPS.
So this is wild. I gotta say, I had not heard of this case. Comment if you had or not. Mark Jeffries, 80 years old. You see he's charged with trafficking and all these different counts and stuff like that. And he is out on bail. I believe it's him and two other individuals charged in this. One of them is his gay partner, Pause. And he is out on $10 million bail wearing a GPS monitor. You know, something that, like we said, Diddy just could not get the feds to budge and let him come home. But yeah, man, this is some pretty twisted-ish. Abercrombie and Fitch, like, he is the ex-CEO. He no longer is tied to the company. I don't know if he still has shares or anything like that, but you see, basically, they're accused of holding events and having staff participate by buying Viagra, alcohol, rubbers and lube, pause, yuck, gross, ill, you know what I mean? And getting male talent, models to engage, to show up for photo shoots and try to engage in actual behavior at these events that sound like some weird ass, disturbing, wicked freak offs. And, they were basically manipulated by saying, hey, well, yo, if you want a career, you got to play ball. If you don't play ball, I don't know, the next person will, or whatever. It's so twisted and fucked up, and this definitely needs to be discussed as well. Mark Jeffries, former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. Now, what's going on is his legal team is getting neurologists and doctors to say that this dude has dementia. He is not competent. In June, I believe there was a competency trial. As it seems, this all hit the news right around October. An article is what originally blew the whistle on this whole case, and he was arrested, charged by the federal government, and they're gonna see if he is competent to stand trial or not. Always remember that competency and innocent by insanity or whatever is two different things. A competency hearing is held before the case even takes off and says, hey, this individual is competent or incompetent to stand trial. And I believe if they're found incompetent, they have to be put in a medical facility, I believe, psychiatric facility. Now, not guilty by reason of insanity is different. That's when it goes to court and an attorney argues that the client is just not sane, you know what I mean? And same thing, if they are found not guilty for that reason, I believe they have to go to a hospital as well. I actually know someone in real life that beat some drug cases like that. They're not here anymore. They really were crazy as a motherfucker. They are deceased. They ended up busting shots at someone that was busting their chick down behind their back, and then ended up fleeing the state. Authorities caught up with them and they offed themselves. But yeah, man, there you have it. All these current updates in the Diddy case, the power of headlines, Mark Jeffries, another individual, ex-CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, charged with these wicked, disturbing crimes. Let's discuss it all in the comments. Subscribe and stay tuned for more. It's Coffee, talking music, news, sports, and more. And I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.